Hello everyone, and welcome to my reaction to Attack on Titan Season 4, Part 2, Episode 5. I have to remember where exactly are we now. I hope you all had a really good week. I spent some time today again with Yuki and Tama, and we went to an Asian market and I made a milk tart for them. And it tasted really good, if I have to say so myself. And we played a board game, which was really fun, even though we lost. It was a board game that was basically about saving the world, and sadly, we did not save the world. So, hopefully next time. I just quickly want to show you guys the photo of what we bought at the Asian market in Durban North. So there's like different snacks and candy and drinks and more snack like candy. I think that's like rice crackers, lots of different ramen, and this one is for curry, like Japanese style curry. And hopefully soon we will get together again, and then Yuki can make Japanese style curry for us, and I will try and make another different type of South African dessert. So big thank you to them for showing us the market and also their apartment and their beautiful view. I really had a nice day. It just went by too fast. So yeah, I hope you guys also did something special this week, or you know, just enjoyed work or school or whatever you're busy with. And before we jump into the reaction and the new episode and everything, I just want to let you guys know that I am doing a collab, like a mini collab this week with another YouTuber. The collab will technically be in the review part, but I still want to just tell you guys about it, to make sure to watch the review. So this is her channel, Chanphakdey. She's actually from Egypt, which is also on the continent of Africa. So for those of you that don't know already, I'm from South Africa. So let me just quickly show you Africa map. And so essentially, let me just see if I can make it nice and big. This is where I'm from. I live like here on the coast somewhere, and then she's from here, Egypt. So we're on the same continent, but very far apart. But she also does videos, so please make sure to check out her channel. I will put the link in my description. And yeah, the collab is basically, during this week, I happened upon a tweet, and it kind of reminded me of Attack on Titan, and I don't want to say the fandom, but parts of the fandom. And then also specifically remember that scene with Sergeant Gross, where just before, you know, the owl's identity is revealed. I can show you if you don't remember his name. I will be going through my notes in the review, so just make sure to so I will show everything in detail, but this guy. So the tweet just made me think of, you know, a lot of themes that come up in Attack on Titan. And Chanphakdey, she replied to my tweet, and then it got me thinking. Oh, and obviously some other people were kind of offended by it. I'm not sure if offended is the right word, but all of that feedback, both from her and from people who didn't like that I tweeted it, all that feedback got me thinking about, you know, the quote, how does it go again? Life imitates art, or art imitating life. Because the quote is life imitates art, but my question is, isn't it the other way around, or is it like more likely something that happens both ways? But anyway, I will discuss all of that more in detail in my review/discussion video. So yeah, if you guys have been on my channel before, you know that I do a lot of discussions. Even in my reaction, I have to pause and share my thoughts in between of the episode. But in my review videos, not only do I talk more in depth about the episode, oftentimes I respond to the comments from the previous episode's review video. So it's kind of meant to be like an interactive experience, you know. I talk about the episode, I listen to your opinions, I respond, because I like that dialogue and that interaction, and I feel like it makes the story so much more interesting because it is such a intense story. Obviously, some people just watch it for pure entertainment, and that's fine, but for me, it's definitely something that I feel I can learn a lot from. So yeah, anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the reaction. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my intro. I hope you will take a look at Chanphakdey's channel and also my review if possible, because that's really where we get into the meat of my reaction, because my face will show you some things, but in the review video and so on, I will sometimes go into more depth on why did I look like that, what did I think here, and sometimes my initial reaction is not the same as what I realize later, you know, so things change. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about from last week, and I'm sure after today there will be even more to talk about. So let's jump into it. Imagine if the powers were like devil fruit and you can't have two. We have to see everything again.
進撃の巨人に本当に時を超える能力があるのなら、都合のいい記憶だけをグリシャに見せて過去に影響を与えることも。
That's key right there. That is a key quote. It should be possible for you to show Grisha memories that best suits you and connect that with Grisha in the last episode saying, why won't you show me this? Why do you only show me parts? And it is because he's only using the parts that's convenient for him, what he wants to show, so that it pushes Grisha in a certain direction and to take certain actions. It's very manipulative, in my opinion.
感謝してるよ、兄さん。あんたが俺を親父の記憶に連れ込んだおかげで今の道がある。俺の望みではなく、お前の望みが叶うって。始祖ユミル、すべてのユミルの民から生殖能力を奪え。座標に。グリシャは俺にこう言った。エレンを止めてくれと。お前に従ったことを後悔した。
I just want to understand one thing. Did he say that Eren say it's thanks to him that he could change things? That part I need to rewatch. Thanks to Zeke? Question mark?
父親の記憶からどんな未来の景色を見たか知らないが、お前は全てを見たわけじゃないんだろ。お前は無力なままだ。
Well, he could just turn into a Titan and it'll be fine. Like, he'll regrow everything. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, you want Eren to stop Zeke, but you want Zeke to stop Eren. Well, that's me. At the end of the day, I still wish that Eren had spoken to Armin and Hanj and the Mikasa and just come up with a different plan. But you know, those are just the actions I would have preferred. Okay. I will skip the opening because I can't watch it anyway. From You, 2000 years ago. And the first episode was called To You in 2000 years or something like that. Are we gonna see the past? Well, obviously. So, these are Eldians being enslaved. It makes me so sad to think how people keep arguing, oh, but Eldians are monsters and the world would be better without them. Like, the majority of Eldians don't want to turn into mindless monsters. The majority of Eldians are just people like you and me, so... It's like if they were really so scary and so much stronger than all of us, like, I mean, as individuals, wouldn't they just, boom, turn into monsters and defeat all their enemies? Like, it's not that easy. There's 9 shifters, and the rest of them, it's not like they can choose. Like, they have to have spinal fluid injected into their bodies, and then who wants to turn into a mindless monster that doesn't know if they're going to eat their friend or their foe? I don't think there's so much history like this. I want to see so much more of this. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The average person, the average Eldian is not a monster. Oh yeah, such scary Eldians. The world would be so much better without the Eldians because they're so much stronger than us, and we are all scared of them. And so, sorry for the sarcasm. I know it's not right, but the way that some people argue to justify killing thousands upon thousands of people or genociding them, I shouldn't even show this because I know people are going to twist it into something ugly, but I literally bought this book because it's about, it's an evil book, but it remains necessary reading for those who seek to understand the Holocaust, for students of totalitarian psychology, and for all who care to safeguard democracy. That's why I bought it, because I want to understand, like, that man convinced the world that Jewish people, oh, they're such scary monsters and the world would be better off without them. Doesn't that sound familiar? I feel like you can't really see what I'm reacting to, sorry. Oh, the tree. Wait. Is this like the origin of Titans? Is it that thing that made them... Wait. Whoa. I feel like I'm a bit lost. 道を開き、荒れ地を耕し、峠に橋を架けた。我が部族エルディアは随分。My slave and the, but these are Eldia. Whoa, okay. I need to read the manga. I need to read the manga. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. So it was like in so it was like in何としてでもユミルの力を引き継ぐのだ。ユミルの体をすべて食い尽くせ。マリア、オーゼ、シーナ。娘たちよ、子を産み増やし続けよ。ユミルの血を絶やしてはならぬ。娘が死ねば。If my daughters die, have my grandchildren eat their spine. No, here Eren is right. That is why what makes this story so brilliant to me in this part is the fact that there are things with Eren that I agree with, and there are things that Zeke that I understand, although I still think that his desire up to this point was as a result of his own trauma and not because it's what he truly believes is better. Like, for me, it just doesn't come out of a place of wholesomeness, as people seem to believe. It's more like he just wanted to be against his dad's revolutionist, restorationistness. But that's what makes it so great. Like, I want Eren to stop Zeke, and I want Zeke to stop Eren, and I just want the Eldians to be able to live a normal life. Like, even if their beginnings were not good, what makes it so much more interesting, and I admit to the fact that obviously I was wrong about, she wasn't a Titan back then. It wasn't, I thought it was like, I didn't know that was the beginning of Titans. But basically how I understand it, and I still need to read the manga, but it was inter-community, like, so for example, even before South Africa was colonized, there were tribes at war constantly, and that seemed to me like something like that. So one tribe, one place conquered another more powerful place, but they were the same people, right? I think, but then she was enslaved. They tried to kill her. She turned into a Titan. They used her power to build bridges and do this and do that. And he wanted to make this super race. Wanted to make super race, right? Right? That's similar. Or believed in the super pure race or whatever. And then he... Obviously, it all started in a horrible way. Just like our country, what we have now, is also built on a history of many horrors. You know, intertribal wars, colonialism went wrong, because at the beginning it was, there was, in South Africa, the colonialists came and there was equal trade, you know, even King Shaka Zulu, he got sick, for example, and the Westerners, the colonialists, cured him, and he gave them land. But eventually that all went wrong when one side became too greedy and they started fighting instead of trading. And then because, you know, the one side had freaking guns, obviously, just like the tribes in between each other killed each other, now they killed them. So, and then there was, like, just before I was born, there was apartheid ended. So what I'm trying to say is here, our history is fraught with horrors, and that's just not my country, that's everywhere in the world. Because at one stage we were all developing, like, if you believe in evolution and whatnot, we were all developing, and we had to get to this point here where we are today, where we have laws to protect each other, and it's not like fighting for survival, physically fighting. So through trying to cultivate what we have today, where we have more or less, like, it's still very bad in some places, but there's democracy and rules and laws and like the Geneva Convention, even war rules. There's horrors in our past, right? But that doesn't mean like I need to be punished for what colonialists did, or let's say King Shaka Zulu slaughtered many tribes. That doesn't mean any Zulu people today should be punished for what he did back then. You know what I'm saying? So even though I understand, oh, everything's so horrible, we should just kill everyone because our foundation of this is so bad, and it's just better to genocide people, not kill, but genocide, even though he did kill many people in order to reenact his plan. I still can't agree with him because the current Eldians have nothing to do with those Eldians. But I'm with Eren, but then I'm also not with Eren because he also goes too far with his plan. Also taking, like, he's all about freedom, but then he transgresses other people's freedoms in order to, you know, for his own and his people's, and that's also not, like, there has to be a balance between these two extremes, you know, wanting to right the wrongs of the past, but also wanting to keep people's freedoms. So it's very, very difficult and complicated. I mean, it's been since the start. But I know I'm going to get shit for getting it wrong in the beginning. I didn't realize it was like the origin story. But I still stand by what I said. The average Eldian is just like that little girl. No power until someone abuses their power. And just because you can abuse someone's something of someone, just because like, for example, you see she was abused because not only because of her power, but because she's a woman and she can have babies and procreate, right? So women are being abused every day all across the world. There's a video I saw recently about a girl in, let me just read this. And obviously in the West it's much better for women, and there has been, like, I feel like we're pretty much as equal as we can be in most of the West, but considering other things, like the fact that we are different and we do generally have different strengths and weaknesses, but so just quickly, here's a girl from head shaved, face blackened. A young girl is paraded through the streets in India's capital, Delhi, for rejecting a boy. The girl is later sexually assaulted and tortured by the relatives of the boy she rejected. So in many parts of the world, women are living horrible lives because they're being abused for, in Emir's case, her power and her fertility, but in other places just because they're women, and it's easy to take advantage of a woman when you're stronger than they are, right? And it's not about men versus women. It's about, as I've talked about before, a culture that teaches everyone that woman is lesser than, right? So my point is, just because women can be exploited and can be abused doesn't mean that our lives, you can decide for us, well, our lives are not worth living, right? Because I come from a culture where women are acknowledged to be generally less strong than men and therefore need to be protected. So in my culture, for example, if you break up with a boy and he spreads rumors about you, your brothers will go to their house and they will, like, intimidate them or rough them up because you are to be protected. That is what your brothers are there for, right? Men protect women. But I mean, it's all very complicated. We can go into much more depth, but I'm just trying to understand here where he's coming from. Like, oh, our power has been exploited and therefore we should just die out because it's less suffering. But that is like saying there's still parts of the world where women are treated and as second-class citizens, where they are being paraded around in streets if they reject the guy. Like, we can also be exploited, but just because we can be exploited doesn't mean our lives is not worth living. Rather, fight to make it like the West, right, where women are treated as equals for the most part. Like, yeah, sure, there's some discrepancies, but some of it's not even worth fighting over anymore, because it's kind of tipping onto the other side now, where women almost want to become men. That's also problematic. But you understand what I'm saying? It's just because in certain parts of the world women are treated like absolute shit and exploited doesn't mean that we should genocide them so that no more women can be born, so that we don't have to suffer. Rather, fight for equal rights so that that doesn't continue to happen. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So I get where he's coming from, but I still don't think it came out of... It more was against Grisha. And I also get where Eren is coming from, and I do support him in this. Him saying, you are just a human, you are not a god, and you get to decide. He's trying to convince her of her own freedom, in a sense. But he wants to take it too far the other way, and like, it's so crazy. There are two extremes. Her eyes for the first time. Holy fuck. Whoa. 10 out of 10 already. Easy. So the rumbling was never a false threat? Oh, it was a false threat because of the pacifist. But if he was a pacifist, why is the rumbling possible in the first place? I guess because the... To destroy the world. But it's not the whole world. Wait. The world, but it's not the whole world. It's not every single person in the world wants Titans dead. That's like saying that's like during World War II, Hitler villainized, demonized the Jewish people, and that would be like believing, oh, the whole world wants us dead because some people side with Hitler. You know, they had their allies, and there was other, you know, there was two separate groups, kind of, probably more, but two main groups. I don't think that everyone is on the side of... They really are two extremes. Eren and Zeke, they are two complete extremes.
この世から駆逐するまで。
So he has almost a bit, not really, but he ends up doing the same thing as so King Fritz believed that he wanted to create Eldians with Titan powers as a superior race so that he could conquer the world and they could live above all others, right? In a sense, that was his goal, right? To create this master race that would rule over others. So in a sense, not because he believes that they're superior, but Eren is in kind of continuing that plan. They will be the rulers of the world. And everyone else is must die. But it's for different reasons, but doesn't make it to me any more right, because that's like if there's a war, it's one side versus the other side, but it's like killing all the civilians because you're angry at the leader of this country. Like, oh, I'm angry at that leader, that's a bad leader, let's kill their whole... People keep comparing it to, like, oh, imagine if you could take away all nuclear power in the world. You would do that because blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, no, it's like, imagine that country has nuclear power. Like, let's say South Africa. Imagine our leader has access to nuclear power. Now you flatten our whole country, kill every single person because a few of the country's leaders have access to nuclear power. Like, now I'm being punished because my president can use nuclear power. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not responsible for what he could do. You see what I'm saying here? So, but people keep saying like, oh, imagine you could take away nuclear power. Like, it's not that easy to just... Wow. That is fucking amazing, like how well written this is. I am so shocked by the origin story. We're actually getting a reason for how Titans came to be. Like, I thought it was just a type of power that people were born with. Like, I didn't realize we were going to get an origin story. So it was basically like some kind of fossilized creature, kind of like, you know, the radioactive spider that bit and give you spider powers. But oh my god, that blew my mind. I thought when I saw that, I thought that was, remember we got this history in a previous season, maybe it was season 2, where we learned about Emir and how she built, we found out in that story how she was like this goddess, right? How she built the bridges and she made society like that so possible in a sense. So I thought when we saw her, or the flashback started, I thought that was after, or like while Marley, I thought it was like a war, and they were like conquering little Eldian villages to get to the main forces. I don't know, but then to realize that that was the origin story, so it was basically like inter-communal fighting, like the tribal wars of our country, except that she, by some miracle or curse, gained Titan powers, and then he exploited it and abused it, which is of course horrible. And then that is why they began to, because he wanted to create the superior race and conquer the world, Marley suffered under that because he used her Titan powers to but once again, I would like to say, just because of a horrible history it doesn't mean that people today should be punished. You know, like, I don't think that Connie and Sasha and Mikasa, like, they don't need to pay for what that guy did to Emir. I just feel like, I wish there was, and you know how Grisha said, was this really the only way? Was it? Couldn't there have been a way to free her without causing the rumbling? You see, you know what I'm asking? Like, because she deserved that. She deserved to be freed, of course. That is generational trauma of 2,000 years. That is horrifying for her, for Emir, that she had to go through that. But the people today, I don't feel like they have to be punished for their ancestors' fault. Just like the people of the world don't need to be punished for the horrible actions of a few. You know? So that's why I'm saying it's so amazing to see these two extremes go up against each other. Zeke, who thinks the world would be better off without Titans. Eren, who thinks the world would be better off without everyone else. But either way, innocent people are going to die. Or innocent people's... Well, in Eren's plan, innocent people are going to die. In Zeke's end goal, his people will just die out. Even though he did do many bad things that... Well, at least things I don't agree with in order to reach the goal of his people dying out, which I don't think is right. So either way, it's like two horrible extremes, because they don't deserve to die. They don't deserve to die just because the rest of the world or parts of the world is scared of them. I don't even think it's every single person, because the Marlians, they live with them. They can see there could be, obviously there's inequality, but if they can just fight for equality. The Marlians, you see that one guy who was, when Gabi got back and she was thinking she was going to be scolded, and then he was actually happy. Like, it's the same thing as, you know, places like that tweet I told you about, the girl that was paraded in Delhi, and kidnapped and gang raped. It's horrible that many women in the world where women don't have equal rights, it's horrible that women have to go through that and be treated that way and be sold off at 9 years old. Like, of course it's horrible, but that doesn't mean that the world would be better off without us, because we wouldn't, like, oh, we should have less women born because that means less women would suffer. Like, that doesn't make sense. No. Why should less women be born just because, like, rather make the world a safer place for women, right? We can't imprison men just because they're committing the majority of the violent crimes, right? Especially against women. We're not gonna suddenly imprison men regardless of whether or not they've done anything, even though statistically, wouldn't that make the world a safer place? If we find out, oh, this baby in your womb is a male, so we abort him because we're only allowed 25% male babies. Every 75% has to be women because men are responsible for the violent crime. So even though the baby didn't do anything wrong, we will abort him because we only want 25% of men so that they're easy to control, because men commit so much of the violent crime. No, you can't punish people if they didn't do anything wrong. Rather create a society in which, like the West is today, where women can do what they want. At least I'm from South Africa, so my country is like half and half. We're very westernized, so women have many opportunities and stuff legally, but culturally there's still many cultures that believe women are kind of like still property. So the violence, the gender-based crime in my country is really bad. So we're between the two places where we should be versus still the bad side. So the reason I'm talking about this stuff is basically because people keep asking me, oh, what do you think is right? Zeke's plan is the only way because the world will always fear Titans. I don't think that we should punish people just out of fear. If someone didn't do anything wrong, they shouldn't be punished. we can't punish men just because obviously men would be the ones committing more violent crime. Like, I know I'm doing this, but it's statistically proven. But it's not like I'm trying to say, oh, men are bad. No, it is a power dynamic. In nature, that's how it works. If a woman has, even though it's more less likely, but if a woman has, like, there are tons of women that take out the abuse they go through on their children. It's a power dynamic. So men are generally stronger than women, which means that if there's gonna be abuse, it will generally be from the stronger side. It's not a gender thing. It's a power thing, and it's the same here. Power can be abused, but it can so easily be used for good as well. Like in my culture, it's like, who's gonna protect me? My father, my husband, and my brothers. We are taught we are. That doesn't mean that, oh, bad things don't sometimes happen, but culturally, men are taught that they are the protectors of women. Their strength is used for good. I've watched some videos from like Jordan Peterson where he talks about, I will get the quote, even though my video is going to go too long and I still have a review to do. But I can't talk in depth about this stuff, so please don't take it personally. And I know I'm not expressing myself eloquently, but if you want to go listen to like Jordan Peterson's talks on these things, I just want to be clear that I'm not saying men are bad or anything like that. It's a power thing, rather than let's punish all men indiscriminately for things they didn't do because of what other men did. No, let's use that strength for positive. Encourage men to protect women, for example, like instead of the myth of male dominance. So like, here's a very interesting post that you can go read yourself. I haven't read this one, but where is how to become deadly? The best way to teach people oh no, that's no. Here. So it's this one. You should be a monster. Everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it. So basically how I see that is like, strength can be used for good, to protect yourself from others. The meeker you are does not make you more protected, because there will always be strong people. So become strong so that you can protect. But now the problem is that, you know, any power is easy to abuse. So I have to end the video because I'm running out of time. I have like 30 seconds, but it's a 10 out of 10 for me, and I'm sorry for if I said anything wrong. Please listen to my review and I can go in more depth, and then I will read your comments and I will respond more next week after hearing what you said, and I'll try my best to make myself clearer. But what an amazing episode, and really the mangaka can just, wow, amazing, be so proud.